Oh, we're live. Wow. Hey there. All right. Answers by guess. What up there, guess? You were sinking in the I was gonna say you were sinking in the first one. We're now the same height. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Remember, guys, like us Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon. Always look for those hashtags, answers by guess and ABGFF. Buys this week, Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. First game on my list, Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. Cleveland coming off a win in overtime. But obviously the biggest news is Watson. I heard you on Tuesday, but I want you to repeat what you were saying because there were so many questions about Watson that I've seen anywhere and everywhere. How does it change the dynamic of the team? All you really need to do is run on Houston, but who the heck's going to be running for Cleveland? Let's talk about that. And on the flip side, everyone's worried about Pierce. Kyle Allen played better in the second half last game, but that game was over pretty much in the first half, to be honest with you. Are we comfortable playing any Texans against this huge revenge game, which I think Houston actually may show up, but that's just me.
Yeah, sure. I think they could as well. And I get what a lot of people are saying, a couple of people on the page, especially, and some of the questions that were asked and some of the posts that were made about Watson. Like, I get it. Yes, 2 years, rust, sure. This guy was a top 5 quarterback, and a lot of it was done with his arm. Most of it was done with his legs. Or maybe it's flip flop. Most is done with his arm. A lot was done with it. Doesn't matter. He's not going to force throws. He might force a couple, but he's not going to force them. He'll take off with his legs. You're going to be able to run all over Houston. I heard a lot of people say in my response of playing Watson over some people is Houston's pass defense isn't that bad. Houston's pass defense numbers aren't that bad. You know why their pass defense numbers aren't that bad? Because everybody runs all over them. And when you can run all over somebody, you don't need to pass. And teams just run all over Houston. Last week, Tua passed all over them. They scored a couple touchdowns. They kicked a bunch of field goals because Houston got tough when they got close. Tua didn't play the second half. Tyreek Hill didn't play the second half. Waddle didn't play the second half. They didn't. They just pulled everybody. It was 30-0. And it's like, all right, we can sit these guys down. And Houston came back. I think they maybe scored 20 or somewhere around there. But, you know, it wasn't enough because the lead was too huge. I mean, people on Miami might have been sweating a little. Do I think this game is that crazy? No. The Browns' offense is not Miami's offense, but the 1970s linebacker, Jacoby Brissett, that was your analogy, which is spot on, was serviceable throughout the year. And I'm sorry, but Deshaun Watson with 2 years off is better than Jacoby Brissett. And if you don't think that's a fact, then I don't know. I'm not sure what you're thinking because he's all world. He's top 5 2 years ago. He hasn't been taking a beating for 2 years. He's been getting rubbed down for 2 years. He's been getting everything nice and ready to go. He's been working out. He's not going to be a fat slob, right? So he's in shape. He's going to be able to run. And the reason I like him in this game over Fields is because I'm not worried about him running and getting hurt. Could he? Sure. Probably because I said that, he might. But there's bigger risk of Fields getting popped and not playing the rest of the game. I think just a flat out on paper risk than Deshaun Watson. He's got better weapons than Justin Fields. The Cooper, DPJ. Brissett doesn't like to throw the deep ball. Watson will throw the deep ball. DPJ, all he's got to do is get down the field. Watson's got the arm and the testicular fortitude to chuck it down, and DPJ could be unleashed like he hasn't been all season. I think Njoku's out, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll still have Harrison Bryant. And they got Kareem Hunt, who you could dump it off to. Brissett does not like to dump off. Look at the receptions for Chubb and Hunt this year. They've been terrible. That's Watson's game. Watson will do that. Brissett is not a check down quarterback. You'll see a lot more RPOs in this game, run pass options where they'll lead the back, and if it's open for Chubb or Hunt, he'll give it to them. If it's not, he'll take it himself. You're going to get cheat code ability out of Watson this week because they're going against the worst rush defense, and their pass defense is not good. They have good numbers because nobody has to pass on them. I'm firing up the Browns in this one. I don't care. The Texans, no Brandon Cooks. He's out. So it's Nico Collins. And I like Damian Pierce in a bounce back here because the Texans know if they want to stay close, they have to use him. They got to get him going early. So last week, it didn't work as well. The game plan against Miami sort of took Pierce right out of it. I think the Browns have a softer rush defense, much softer, matter of fact, than Miami. Miami's rush defense isn't great, but the Browns is pretty soft. So I think Pierce can get going early in this one. I'm not shying away from, but listen, if he pulls another negative yardage or less than 1 yard per carry in this one, then we worry about it in the playoffs, week 14 and on. But I think he'll be okay in this one, and I'm going to go ahead and start him. And they're just going to have to put it together with Chris Moore and Philip Dorsett and all these other random guys that you're not playing. So could Houston stay in it and give them a little bit of a fight? Sure. But I think Cleveland is going to be smart to not put too much on Watson's plate, but he's going to have free reign to run the ball if he sees an open hole. And I think that's where he will excel this week and reinstate himself as a top 5 quarterback in the league because of the cheat code ability as I sink to the floor. Oh, no, your sound's off.
Sneaky one for me. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is Akins. If you need a tight end, he had a good game last week, not the week before, but the week before that he played well. He's been targeted. He's caught, I think, every single one of his targets. I don't think he has had a drop ball or a bad ball thrown to him. So definitely somebody, if you're in a tight end squeeze, I would like Akins, to be honest with you.
They need somebody.
They got to move the ball down the field somehow. So, all right, going on to the next one here. My New York Jets at my Minnesota Vikings. This is my teams right here. I don't know. I may be wearing my Thielen jersey with my Jets hat and my Jets sneakers. All right. Well, the Jets against the Bears last week. Mike White did amazing. He got everybody involved. Who are we seeing playing well on this New York Jets team? And is it going to be the same Mike White against this pass defense, I think, which is like 3rd worst in the league or 2nd worst in the league? But they put up points. On the flip side, everybody, the top 3 guys, Jefferson, Thielen, and Hawk all caught touchdowns, but Cook actually had a really down game. Are we comfortable against this Jets defense who's different this year? They're playing a lot better. Are we worried about anybody on the Vikings?
Yeah, Cousins at home at 1 o'clock. He came into a lot of the questions with Watson. I still went with Watson because although I like Cousins at home at 1 o'clock and I like his weapons, the Jets are a very, very solid defense. You have the possible defensive rookie of the year in Sauce going against the possible offensive player of the year in Justin Jefferson. It's not going to be Jalen Hurts or maybe Josh Jacobs. It's probably going to be Justin Jefferson. So that's going to be the best matchup of the day. Will he be able, is he big enough to hinder Justin Jefferson to a degree that it allows the Jets to stay competitive defensively against this Vikings offense? Same with Cook running the ball. I think Hawk is a definite smash. I think he's the number 3 tight end on the year at this point behind Andrews, and he might even just be past Andrews because of Andrews' injuries, or he's right there, but no, everybody's 100 points behind Kelsey, so he's in another league of his own. So it's like those 2 at the top. So Hawk is fine. Like you said, Thielen scored a touchdown last week. They'll probably need him in this one against the Jets. So you play your Vikings if you've been playing them. If it's any of those four guys, we'll let Thielen into the mix. And for the Jets, we saw this, like I said, with Mike White. We said he was going to do well, but then what happened last year just sort of deflated. Let's see if he can learn from that and sort of keep it going. I think Corey Davis, I liked him last week, but I think he's going to be another game back here. I think he's going to be a little more needed in this. The Vikings are going to worry about Garrett Wilson most of all because he's been on a tear. No matter who the quarterback's been, he's been playing really well. And I just have a feeling Corey Davis is going to need to step up in this one. So I think he's a sneaky play. He was close to being a guesstimator, but wasn't he a guesstimator last week? So that's why he couldn't be. So maybe I was a week ahead on him. The running backs, everybody's favorite new toy, Zonovan. We'll see what happens. Zonovan, I love the story, love the kid, was good in the preseason. He came into a game against the Bears, and he was playing, actually. He was mixing in with Carter. And
Carter doubtful this year, too.
Right. So it's not like he only came in garbage time or when Carter got hurt. He was mixing in. So he'll be there, but they are going to play James Robinson in this one. And I heard some conspiracy stuff, which seems right about James Robinson. They held him out of that game, not so much because of his poor showings against the Bills and the Patriots. I mean, come on. You're playing two of the best rush defenses, the Bills and the Patriots. That's how you're going to judge somebody in their new team. They held him out because there is a caveat in his contract or the trade that if he gets X amount of yards or whatever, or plays X amount of snaps, then the 6th round pick becomes a 5th round pick. So there could be some truth to that. Because, hey, if I hold him out of a game and I gain 16 to 25 snaps that don't go against that total, all right. Well, this week I think they'll use him. And they got Ty Johnson in there. Kind of run on Minnesota. You're a little better passing the ball on Minnesota. So as much as I want the Jets to win, Rob, I think the Vikings might win this. But the big question here is, what do you do with yourself when your two favorite teams play each other?
I'll be excited every single second, I guess. It's like great defensive play. Oh, nice touchdown. Oh, great touchdown. Oh, man, great defensive play. Pretty much like that. I got another tight end. I think Conklin, revenge game. We talk about revenge games. I really think Conklin could be a 6 to 8 pointer this week. I'm not saying he's going to have a great game, but I can see him either getting 2 targets for 16 yards and a touchdown, or he'll get 4 catches for 50 yards and that's it, So again, depending on that situation, but I like Conklin a lot, and Mike White's been looking at both. I mean, even Uzuma got some love too. So definitely, I said it to somebody recently. I feel like Cousins and Mike White are very similar quarterbacks. I think this is a very good comparison, at least on the way they throw the ball, the way they move in the pocket. Mike White has some more legs, but again, they seem very similar to me.
Yeah, and I had mentioned to somebody I like Conklin this week, and that's actually one of the reasons also that I kind of like Corey Davis, that over the middle ball.
Yeah, I can see that happening. The only person I have to worry about is Harrison Smith. So, All right, Washington Commanders at the New York Giants. I like this game. I think this could be one of the games of the week. I'm throwing that out there because not only is it a division game, it just means so much to both of these teams right now. I mean, a loss in that NFC East takes you out of the playoff contention where all 4 of them are currently in right now. Let's talk about Washington, though. Heineke is playing well. Brian Robinson's definitely stepping up. You have to start, I believe, McLaurin. I know you mentioned Dotson possibly getting back or Logan Thomas being what the team needs for regular football, but how does that translate into fantasy? On the flip side, another tight end, Bellinger seems like he's coming back. Does that give them another pass catcher that they've been sorely needing and taking some of the brunt away from Barkley? Because Barkley's had some down games, but this Commanders defense isn't a pushover. What are you thinking?
Yeah, a couple things. The video one we were talking about, my buddy wanted me to look at some lines and let me know what I liked. And we looked at this one. I said, I wouldn't touch this game if somebody paid me to pick a side. You know what I mean? Because this game can honestly go either way. I think Washington's the better team. They're on the better run. They're hotter than the Giants, but it's in New Jersey, and it's a division game. And just like you said, like you can't even touch it. And then the other thing I want to touch on is this is why I love the NFL. This division was the worst like 2 years ago. I think the team that made them playoffs was like 7-9, something like that. Or that wasn't too long ago.
Philly. Yeah, Philly that beat Dallas to be able to make it in the playoffs with a losing record.
Yeah, so now they got all 4 teams in the playoffs. And then you look at the NFC South, which was the juggernauts, right?
Yep.
They're all terrible. So it's just like that's just in a couple years. So yeah, I had mentioned in the video, I did something that I kind of threw together on the spot. It's just like I feel like there's NFL real football teams need a specific guy to sort of step up, and not for nothing. James Cook was one of them for the Bills, and he stepped up yesterday. And it helped them really have an easy win. And like Jahan Dotson was the one for Washington. I think for this team to continue to progress and be competitive, I think he needs to get back into some sort of form he was in. Now, a lot of his touchdowns were fluky. He was Wentz just chucking the ball up, and he was being opportunistic, Christian Watson. But he's got to get back into the game flow because he's been nothing since he came back from the injury to 2 games. Antonio Gibson banged up. It worries me. I had to move him out of the lineup. I don't feel good about it because I feel like he could do well in this game against the Giants. It's a little tough to run straight up the gut against the Giants. You're going to need somebody that can get shifty on the outside. But McKissick's back, so there's no need for them to even push it with Gibson because they'll just use McKissick for that stuff. So that's why it's sort of like Gibson is somebody who he's been hot. Last week was he was in and out of the game, but now he's on the injury report. So it's like if I could stay away from somebody, it would be Gibson. I don't like it, but it would be him. This game could be low scoring. This game could be high scoring back and forth. We mentioned the guys on the Commanders. Brian Robinson, play him if you must. But again, it's tough to run up the gut. McLaurin, I'm not benching him. For the Giants, you mentioned Bellinger coming back, and I talked about how that moves Lawrence Cager out of that tight end role. He's a wide receiver / tight end. He's originally a wide receiver. They were using him as tight end because he's a big body. This team needs wide receivers. I think they still use him. I think Cager is a name you're going to come and know, especially because you can pass all over Washington. They're really tough to run against, so it sucks for Saquon, but you got to play Saquon. But they need pass catchers. It's Richie James, bitch, and he can do something. Slayton is somebody obviously you're putting in your lineup, but I think Cager and our guestpetizer from last week on Thanksgiving special.
He was that close.
He was so close. He was half cooked. I thought he would have like 6 for 70. He had like 3 for 35. So he was right there, and he was so close to a touchdown. So Hodgins is a name, and Richie James, and Slayton, and Cager, and Bellinger. So they have some guys that they will be able to throw the ball. So I do think the Giants look to attack through the air here, which is what worries me, which I said Washington is who I think should win, who I think is the better team. But I think the Giants are going to come into this one and say, you know what? They think we have nobody to throw the ball to. We got a bunch of little guys, and we're going to throw the ball all over you. That makes Daniel Jones a sneaky quarterback streamer for me this week because he can also use his legs. And he's got sneakily a good amount of weapons here that a lot of people don't know about, specifically Cager and Hodgins. I think these are 2 names that as the season winds down, you're going to see pop up. I have this feeling with these 2 guys.
I like it. All right, let's go on to the next one here. Tennessee Titans at the Philadelphia Eagles. Henry was so close to getting that touchdown, man. Unbelievable. What a great punch out, though. But you got your Traylon Burks touchdown, which helped you beat me as well. What a
100% helped.
Other touchdown. I was like, what the hell's an other touchdown?
It's luck, man. It's all luck.
I like it, though. But on the I mean, seriously, though, Jelani Woods looked good. Who's it? Chiggy, right? Chiggy gets his love, too. I mean, these guys are just – if Tannehill can throw the ball, I'm starting Tannehill this week in a league because Kyler Murray's out. Because I just feel like they have to keep up with this Philadelphia Eagles team. And Henry didn't have a great game last week. It was that big play. He really didn't do very much otherwise. This Philly defense is pretty solid. They're going to have to throw the ball. Are we comfortable putting out our Tennessee Titans wide receivers and tight ends? On the flip side, Eagles just light it up. I mean, Hurts had 120 something yards in the first quarter running. Like, it was just mind blowing. I watched the video that there was the coach of the Eagles gave a game ball to Quez Watkins. He's like, he had to go down a roll. He still is okay with that roll. Goddard went out and he stepped up and he gave him a game ball, saying that no matter what the role is, that kid's playing. Is he okay for a wide receiver 3? And then obviously you're starting your rest of your Eagles, especially with the Miles Sanders blow up, right?
Yeah, the Philly defense is pretty good, except they can't stop the run. They haven't been able to stop the run. Green Bay ran all over them. Washington ran all over them. Indianapolis ran all over them. That was the big Jonathan Taylor game where he had the big touchdown run. So they can't stop the run, and they brought in Ndamukong Suh and the other dude. I forgot his name again. You reminded me of it.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
Name everybody knows. I can't just think about it right now. But they can't stop the run, and that's bad news when you're going against Derrick Henry. I mean, if you want to be able to stop him, you need to be able to stop the run because, I mean, what he does is more than just run. He destroys. He runs over you. So Tennessee's going to look to run. But if Philly does like what they did against Green Bay and, they ran all over, they threw all over. If they could throw all over Tennessee, if Philly gets out to a big lead, it's going to be beautiful things for Tennessee Titan wide receiver and tight end owners. My only worry is that Tennessee just runs all over them, and somehow they stymie the Eagles' offense because then they'll just continue to run. I'm a Traylon Burks guy. You mentioned Robert Woods, Chiggy. Last week got the most targets he's had all season. I think that is a trend. I think that he continues to go in the direction I thought he would be in already by now. So they got 3 pretty good pass catchers right there that they could do some damage with against the Eagles if they have to play catch-up mode. The only problem is we have to get them in the catch-up mode. And the only way that's going to happen is if the Eagles offense does it. And luckily, the Eagles have enough. I mean, I don't even have to mention the guys that you should be playing. The only ones that, maybe I would mention is the one you mentioned is Quez Watkins. Not sure if you're playing him as a wide receiver 3 or even a flex at this point. But if there ever is a matchup where he's certainly viable, it's this one. And he was somebody that I mentioned as someone who could put a team to the next level, help them continue or get to the next level. It was Quez Watkins for the Eagles.
I said Jelani Woods. I meant Robert Woods. My bad.
Yep.
All right, next game here. Seattle Seahawks at the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know, man. The Seahawks team, they just keep on putting up points, man. It's unbelievable how many points they're putting up, and it's everybody. Are we comfortable starting anybody and everybody from the Seattle Seahawks team? On the flip side, I don't know. This Rams team is just Aaron Donald now out. I really think that it's play your young guys. So is this going to be like a Kyron Williams kind of game? Is this going to be somebody that we're thinking outside, like a Van Jefferson continues to get better? Perkins didn't look half bad, but he's just being thrown in the spot. The Seattle defense has gotten better, but they have been giving up a lot of points too. Could Los Angeles come to life, and what guys are we using?
Well, Perkins is going to be out. They're using John Wolford. Going to start this game.
I missed that. My bad.
So they're back to Wolford. I don't know if that hurts or that helps. The coach loves him, but he's yet to really put it all together. And the Seahawks defense has been, like kind of good, but you're not really good. It's like you play good here, and we're like, oh, okay, and then you're terrible. So I don't know. So I'm not totally against using a Van Jefferson if I have to, with Tyler Higbee, especially at tight end. Kyron Williams is fine. Cam Akers is fine. If this game gets out of hand and the Seahawks just steamroll them and keep scoring, like they're doing, like you said, Kyron Williams is going to get a big bump. If the Rams can keep it relatively close, at least for a while, I think that's where Cam Akers will get the benefit. Because I feel like he's their normal running back and Kyron is more their catch up, their third down, their 2-minute drill type guy. So that's as far as you go with the Rams. I think it's mostly desperation. For the Seahawks, yeah, put them all out there. But all of them is really just 3 of them.
Walker, DK, and Lockett.
Yeah.
Right? Gino, I would think too, right? If you need a,
sure. Quarterback. If you've been using them, yeah. And I mean, I had mentioned the guy that I had mentioned with this when I was doing the divisional rundown, divisional necessities. The guy that the team in real life is going to need to continue to step up even more, and that's Marquise Goodwin. Didn't even know he was still in the league, but he keeps coming through for them. He's their third wide receiver, and every week he finds his way to the box score. So
he does.
I don't want anything to do with him, but he's got a role on this team, and Gino's finding him. It's absolutely incredible what Gino's done. I did not see this coming. I will admit I was wrong. But I'm not sure anybody saw it coming. So,
ditto, man. You know me, Jets fan. Gino, I had a lot of faith in him, but I was the same way. I was like, this Seattle Seahawks team is just going to not be good with him. And
was Gino? He really wasn't that bad until he got punched in the jaw.
Yeah,
and then he was bad because he got punched in the jaw, and his teammates are like, "Whoa, this guy's a wuss." You know? And it's like they didn't have his back anymore. Like he was okay his first year or two for like a rookie, like a raw, rookie.
Yeah.
But he was a backup for X amount of 8 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
It seems like 2013. I think he was a rookie, so he learned and he's putting it all together. So bravo.
Behind Russell and then Pete Carroll having the faith in him, and he learned their system well and is playing it well.
Yeah.
So. Very interesting to see. All right, guys. Answers by guest hashtag as well as ABGFF hashtag. Always look for us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Patreon. We appreciate every one of you, and we'll be back.
One person I wanted to mention, he got involved last week, I think, Tutu Atwell. Right? He's starting to get involved now. He was a rookie last year, I believe. He's starting to get involved for the Rams. So it's like just a name to throw out there in case you didn't notice. I wouldn't play him this week, but he's a speedster and he's doing some
things. I think it was not this last week, but the week before he had that big play, right, for like 60-something yards or 50-something yards.
They need people because, like you said, it's like play the next people because let's see what we have to work with next year.
Might as well. I mean, everybody else is hurt. They know they're not going anywhere. Play the young guys.
Yep.
So, all right, guys, we'll be back for video number 3.
I'm sinking.